To another episode of MC Fireside Chats. My name is Brian Searl with Insider Perks and Modern Campground. Our last episode of the year. This is the best festive thing I could do on short notice. It's actually been here since last year, so I didn't do any work. It was just sitting in the right-hand side as the background, so don't give me any credit or anything like that. But welcome. Appreciate it. December 17th, 2025. We got 2 weeks off here for the holidays after this, and then we'll be back in early January. But before we do, we're going to have a great conversation here with some of these special guests who have been on our show throughout the year. Let's just go around the room and briefly introduce everybody. Do you want to start, Kristen?
I sure will. I am Kristen Garwood with Sage Outdoor Advisory. We do feasibility studies and appraisals. Along with, we collect our own market data. We have our own proprietary database across the country. So that's what we do.
Awesome. Thanks for being here, Kristen. Dave, I just want to let you go before you get another appointment in the showroom. So
yeah, I'm the CVO, the Chief Visionary Officer, and I have 4 different companies: Canadian Sleeping Barrels for resorts and Airbnb, Cedar Yurts. It's an insulated log we invented to replace round tents. One of a kind. We make barrel saunas, and High R Logs is the insulated log. So howdy, everybody.
Thanks for being here, Dave. I appreciate you coming back. MacKenzie?
Hi, I'm MacKenzie Whitsell. I am the founder of Wild Ride Mustang Sanctuary. We're located in Sterling, Connecticut, and we offer glamping as a way to get people out here to see our formerly wild horses and our herd, and experience nature and do so in a little bit of luxury and comfort.
Awesome. Thanks for being here, MacKenzie. And Elizabeth? Can't hear you, Elizabeth. You might be muted.
Is that better?
That's better, yep.
I'm located up near Toronto, Ontario, up in Canada. And I'm a founder of a 4-season geodesic dome luxury glamping. We have 7 domes on site. We've been open about 3 years.
And has everybody been here before? I know, Sandy, you have to introduce yourself, but everybody's been on the show before, right? I'm just old and don't remember.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
The only one I wasn't sure about was you, Elizabeth. That's why I asked. So.
I think it was back in the summer with a girl from Calicut.
Maybe. Now you're even challenging me even more. You're just going to embarrass me more. So
Maybe it was your Canadian show.
Sandy, go ahead, please.
Well, I'm Sandy Ellingson. I serve as an advocate between the RV industry and campgrounds. My passion is my campgrounds. We have been in the past full-time RVers. Now we're on the road about 10 months out of the year. And my background's technology, so I like to rely on Brian a lot for the latest in AI.
And they're all Canadian shows, by the way, Elizabeth, because I'm in Calgary, so once in a while we have American shows. So, all right. Well, I appreciate you guys all being here. Let's kind of start off. You've all been on the show before. We've all talked briefly about your businesses and some of the things you have going on. So tell us, is there something that you look back on 2025 and say that this is a really memorable moment? This is something you're proud of that you accomplished in your businesses or your lives that you'd like to share?
Absolutely. I'm happy to start. So thanks. This past year, we put together, I would say at the beginning of the year, we put together our first glamping market report. We do a free US report, and then we do put together several states reports that you can purchase on our website. And we're actually about to come out with our Q4 report. We're really probably going to be starting to blast that out in January. And we just recently put out now our RV market report for the U.S. We also do it regionally. It's a free U.S. report that you can just go to our website and download, not a problem. And we're actually been really expanding our proprietary database even more. We've added hundreds more properties and units throughout the U.S. So we're continuing to grow that. And we're now looking to expand internationally and put together some data internationally for primarily glamping. So that's exciting stuff we got in the hopper.
Awesome. Who wants to go next?
Yeah, I'll go next. For 30 years, we've been doing barrels, sleeping barrels and barrel saunas. And for the first time in 30 years, we're now going to start building rectangles and square saunas,
Okay.
which is just totally blowing the boys out of the water because they've never had me ask them to do that ever. And one of the things we do every sale, we ask people to send in their pictures, and we do a calendar. And if anyone wants a copy, just send me your address and I'll be happy to.
Is it a fireman's calendar or is it like a work safe calendar?
It is one of our products. So this here is one page. That's a barrel sauna, and you can see right here, that's up at Whistler Mountain. There's 3 up there, and they go to about 5 feet of snow every year.
Nice.
I'll just show you a couple of other pictures that people have sent in. That's in the person's backyard. If you're wondering what a sleeping barrel is, there is a sleeping barrel. So the entire back wall is a large acrylic bubble. And everything nowadays is really heading toward ADA. So we've also completed a wheelchair accessible sauna.
Okay,
And
very nice.
if you've never seen what an insulated log is, there's a small version of our insulated log. Western red cedar on both sides of foam. So it makes the building for a sauna easier to heat, takes a lot less energy. And for our cedar yurts, we've married that up with a standing seam grain bin roof. So we're replacing soft wall yurts, and ours are good for 100 years in all kinds of weather.
Dave, will you send me a sauna? I'm willing to do the show from inside one every week.
Me too.
Yeah, me three.
Saunas all around, yeah.
Thank you, Dave. I appreciate it. Congratulations on the new products and new categories and stuff. Who wants to go next?
I can go. I feel like this year was big where we completed our site plan. So we started with 3 domes and our goal was 7. So this was our year that we finalized our max occupancy. And now we're kind of moving towards creating different magical moments kind of around the property. So we also opened a library in the forest that guests can go and explore and enjoy. And we also have been focusing on kind of expanding our staff, hiring managers this year. So as owners, we can be a lot more hands off. And we're starting kind of to think towards a second project within our area. So kind of in the beginning stages of planning and kind of negotiating the lease for a really cool property about half an hour south of here.
We all know how terrible my memory is. So did we talk about how far you are from Toronto last time?
2 hours.
2 hours, okay. North or northwest?
Yeah, like northwest-ish.
Okay. So I'm interested, just talk to us a little bit about winter. Like because obviously you're not maybe as bad snow-wise as Calgary and Edmonton are in Toronto, I don't think.
But
maybe
where we
2
are,
hours northwest you are. Yeah, you are. Sorry.
because of the lake effect, we're around all the Great Lakes.
Okay.
So we might have like 6 feet of snow and Toronto might not have any. So snow squalls are very come and go in our area. We're kind of known as the snow belt. So it actually is great. Our domes are very well insulated and guests are very comfortable. And so I find winter is very busy for us. Like it sells out, I find, quicker than the spring. Like obviously summer and fall are also busy, but winter is quite easy to sell as people want to experience a snow globe and experience winter glamping done really comfortably.
Is it more difficult or easier to market an experience like that? Because I think the general mindset of a consumer is like that stuff's the outdoor camping, glamping stuff is not available mostly in the winter.
Right. I have found it easier. Like TikTok right now is loving our winter glamping. I feel like it's really blowing up, which that doesn't always happen in our summer content. So I find it's actually easier to romanticize because there isn't as many unique things to do in the winter. And so it's really standing out in the algorithm.
And is there anything that you build as part of the experience in addition to the accommodations? Or, I mean, you don't need to, but I'm just curious.
Like we have like a sauna in the forest. Like each dome has a private hot tub that obviously helps with like the winter experience. And then, like I said, we're kind of just trying to build different like moments around the property that people can go and explore. This library that we just opened, TikTok also really likes it. And I find it really drives bookings when people see an experience that is really aesthetic that they want to see. And they want to come and check it out.
Awesome. Thank you, Elizabeth. I appreciate it. Who wants to go next? We got 2 people left. MacKenzie and Sandy can fight. No, that was the cue for one of you to just go, or you could. But... All right, MacKenzie.
Yeah. So we've done a lot of good stuff this year, getting the kind of infrastructure between the different areas up and running. So we have our horse area and camping area, and previously you'd have to like walk back through the parking lot and go through the equestrian area. So we basically took our big herd of wild horses and split it right down the middle and made a fence on either side so that people can walk from the camping area in between the 2 herds of wild horses up to what we call our pony petting pavilion, which is a wooden round pen where the horses can come up and you can pet them if they want. And we do some training demonstrations there. And so that is going great. And of course we had to do like the magical lighting, and so there's lights hanging throughout the trail and along the path, and it's right by our pond, so it really is beautiful, all lit up at night, especially now that we have snow, and it's just very picturesque. So that's been really great, and yeah, just trying to, this was our first full season, so trying to work out the kinks and figure out scheduling for like, how often do we need to power wash the domes and all of the nitty-gritty of running a glamping resort while also taking care of 30 horses.
And are you guys open in the winter or no?
We technically are, but unlike Elizabeth, we have not had a lot of success so far. I haven't really been advertising it that much because I'm still, I want to make sure our guests have a really great experience. And so testing it out myself, making sure that, even though our domes are insulated, they have wood stoves in them, and we've had guests comfortable in very low temperatures. But little things like walking, we don't have bathrooms in the dome, so you have to walk to the bathhouse. Okay. In the middle of the night, if it's 10 degrees out, I don't want to sell that luxury experience until I am confident that people will feel like it's a luxury experience. But there's definitely the right demographic out there who's looking to actually go outside and to have to go outside, and you walk by all the horses to get to the bathroom, and you are immersed in nature. And it's a different experience than the snow globe where everything you need is right in that spot, and you can sit by your panoramic window and just watch all the things going on. So yeah, I'm kind of trying to dial in the experience to get it as comfortable as possible before I really hammer on the advertising to get people out here. So we've been getting feedback from the couple of campers that we've had that everything's been really nice. So hopefully we'll ramp up soon and get more people in here for the winter, because it is a magical experience with the snow all around and the horses running outside the window.
Well, now you know you did. When you're ready, TikTok is the answer.
Yeah, I gotta get on TikTok.
All right, Sandy, last but not least.
Well, I'm just inspired by these other ladies here and gentlemen, but I love pouring into younger people. So it's making me so excited to listen to some of the younger people and listen to what they're doing. What I do is so much less sexy than what you guys are doing because I'm a data geek. And so the excitement on my part is having worked the last 6 months towards getting us to a place where we're going to be able to be proactive because of the data we have access to instead of reactive. And I'm super excited about that. I'm really happy to see, Kristen, I'm happy that you're doing some additional research to see people putting value in that. And especially people that know our industry that are doing the research, because so often I see people spend a lot of money with a company who has absolutely no idea what we do in outdoor hospitality. And the data literally comes back and it's worthless because they don't understand the perspective and the culture of the guest that we're reaching. So I'm excited about the data, but I'm also excited about being McKenzie's guinea pig because I'm a Southerner, so I'm afraid of anything lower than 60 degrees, but I'm willing to chance it for you.
Awesome.
60 degrees is death. I don't know what area of the world you live in, but the rest of us are on Celsius, and that's really, really, really hot.
Oh wait, I'm on Fahrenheit myself, but I live in the Colorado mountains, so I can take it. I can take the cold.
Well, and the other thing I love is seeing the emphasis on working with the horses. I've worked with 2 campgrounds in the last year that are both agritourism parks, and one of them has horses, which they are partnering people to come in for equine therapy. And it has been the neatest thing to see how that is happening. And what's interesting is his demographic, when he started this, shifted from people within 100 miles of where they're located in Florida to now 90% of his guests come from the Northeast. And what the other thing that's so interesting is doctors are sending them, and they are coming because they've never seen a horse. They've never seen a cow. They're coming from these densely populated urban locations. And so everything they do at this particular park is so interesting. So I love to see the growth of that.
All right. Does anybody else have anything that they feel like we should be talking about before the year wraps up? I've got a couple other questions I can ask, but I'm just curious if I throw it open-ended, if anybody wants to bring up something that we haven't talked about. Or you're all going to be shy.
Well, I want you to tell us what AI says is going to happen to campgrounds next year.
You don't want me to tell you that in a pre-Christmas episode.
Oh, okay.
You do not want me to tell you that. Outwired, we'll talk a little bit about it in January, but it's a really interesting thought process that we've run through, and we're going to start releasing some industry reports, I think, as Outwired, because I feel like that's a nice, for those of you who don't know, Outwired is my other podcast that it's like my uncensored Joe Rogan style podcast that I do with Scott Barr, and Ari Smith has been joining us too. I don't know if you know Ari, Sandy. He owns a $2,500 a night glamping resort in northern Vermont, and
Yes.
he has a background in, like, he went to MIT, and so like he owns this big, huge AI consulting company that works on like really high-end corporate stuff. So he's been playing with like robot dogs at his glamping resort and all kinds of stuff that hasn't worked. And
What's
so
his
it's really
resort called?
interesting. I don't know. Oh no, I do know. Balance Farm. Sorry, I was testing my memory. Balance Farm. I think it's balance.farm is the website. And so anyway, Outwired is that podcast, but I think we want to use it as more of a vehicle too, in addition to the podcast, to release some industry reports that like are intentionally done with like thoughtfully and carefully with critical thinking, but by AI, and almost release like AI's opinion of things and see how close AI is to the future and what data points it can discern and stuff. Radically different from the really strategic stuff that Kristen is doing, right? But I think Outwired is a good vehicle for that speculation, and it would be interesting to have that stuff out there if done right, I think.
Oh, AI is so amazing. I mean, it really just, we do a lot of still very hands-on analysis and work, but, just having AI kind of give us some general overview too. And we're trying to, incorporate that and make sure that we don't fall behind the times too. So we are definitely focusing too on AI, but we're still kind of seeing, and maybe it's all doom and gloom, but I love the idea of what MacKenzie and Elizabeth are doing. So Elizabeth has been really utilizing social media, right, to get that out there. And really that is one of the items that we stress is marketing. Marketing is so important to new or wanting just to keep up with the Joneses for, glamping resorts, RV resorts. And then also, having something unique with what McKenzie's doing with the horses and the horse therapy and having just like, just something different and unique that you will draw people back again and again is so key, I think, to future success with a lot of these developments.
And Kristen, going along with what you've said, one of the things that I found, especially in communicating in the outdoor hospitality industry, because we have so many parks that are still owned by mom and pops, older people, when they hear marketing, they think I got to pay for pay-per-clicks. I've got to do, all of this stuff. And what I've tried to do is stress more of what I believe you're doing, Elizabeth, which is engagement. And so, when TikTok first came out, everybody was looking at how are we going to monetize it? And they still have no real clear monetization model, but they are killing it, right? But it's because of the engagement. And so I think it's so important. And I think this is where at some point we will use AI to kick its butt, because while I know Brian can be very negative, I can be very positive, because I love to take AI and twist it and use it. So, in fact, I literally had this situation this week where I was using an AI bot that I've trained. I asked it a question, and it happened to be one that I absolutely knew it was wrong. And I said, you gave me this answer. It's absolutely wrong. Did you lie? And it came back and said, I didn't have an answer, so I made something up. Literally, that was the response from AI. I did a screenshot and cracked up, right? So it's coming, but it's got a little ways to go. But I do think there are so many ways we can use it to improve what we're doing, to make us be able to do it faster, and to do it on our own without paying somebody to do it for us. So so building engagement is where I would say is the most important thing we can do.
I mean, don't throw me under the bus too much. Like I'm a realist. I'm really not negative. I'm actually optimistic about the future, but I'm realistic about how we get there.
You set yourself up to make us think you were going to give us a negative picture. So that's why I said that.
I mean, I did that, to be fair, I did that off air before we started, like not in front of the whole audience.
That's true.
But all right. So we'll release the data, and I hope I hope it's all bad. Or I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong about what the data is what I mean.
Well, I have at least already said too, Brian, that I lean on you, because I do think you are one of the forethought leaders in AI and have been speaking to this issue for longer than anybody else. And so I do really appreciate it. And I appreciate that you brought me along kicking and screaming.
All right, let's talk positive then. Elizabeth, what's something really cool and positive you've done with AI? For your business or your personal life, whatever you want to talk about.
I just use AI a lot for my marketing on social media. So making reels, captions, promotional ideas. I find it's very creative to brainstorm with. If you're coming up with like a promotion for a season, it helps me like fine tune what an idea would be. Really good with wording. It's basically just like a marketing assistant, writing email promotions. I find it's really good with words. When you're selling an experience and an emotion, it does that for you.
I think it's really interesting for promotional photos. And before you guys attack me, because like obviously you can't have a fake photo of your property. If you take a still photo of your property, and we've done this dozens and dozens and dozens of times for clients. If you take a still photo of your property that you had a professional photographer take, like an empty RV site or the outside of a cabin that nobody's there in, and you take that into Gemini, into their new Nano Banana Pro image model, you can literally prompt it and say, like, put a couple, this is the last one I did, put a couple outside sitting with a glass of wine at sunset. And it turned the sky sunset, and it put the couple outside sitting at the picnic table that was already in front of the cabin with a wine glass, like sitting there naturally. To me, that's no different than hiring a paid actor to come for a photo shoot. It is
Right.
real. It's not deceptive, because a couple can reserve that cabin, go there, sit at that picnic table, have a glass of wine, and have that exact same experience at sunset. So those kinds of things I think are really good use cases for AI. Like, just push the limits of what it can do, and it's really and then you can take that whole thing, and by the way, you can turn it into a video in Gemini too.
That's so
Mm.
cool.
So
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I would
That's-
agree. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Sandy.
No. Yeah.
I was just going to say, I used the exact same tool this past week when I was in Indiana and it was 7 degrees and we had 12 inches of snow. Of course, again, I'm the Southern girl, so I'm like, snow, snow, snow. And I was taking all kinds of pictures, and some of them were great, except there was the crappy car that was in the way, or there was the telephone pole. And so I just said, hey, remove this, add this. And I got some of the best pictures ever. So I may become a photographer.
It's a good idea. You should.
Well, and hey, the mom and pops out there, Sandy, really, I mean, they need to, add better photos to their websites and, all that kind of thing. And it doesn't have to be a super expensive, type. You don't always need a professional photographer, or maybe just come out and do a simple shoot and then go from there. And I think the advocacy of getting the mom and pop sort of up to speed on some things, can only help them.
Well, that's the win right there, right? Like again, I'm not dissing professional photographers. Like, I used to actually, the beginning of Insider Perks was me going around to campgrounds and KOAs and taking photos and videos for people. So I'm kind of kicking my own butt when I say this, but you absolutely do not need a professional photographer anymore. There's nothing that you need a professional photographer for at a campground, because you can walk around with your cell phone, and even if you're not a great photographer and you don't trace the outsides of the lines, and even if the photo is crooked, all you have to do is take like 80 different shots of every single site that you have, an amenity. It doesn't matter who's in it or what the sky looks like, or like maybe if it's raining and it gets all over the lens, right? But other than that, on a nice sunny day, just go around and do this. And then you can straighten the photo. You can change the sky. You can put people in the picture like I'm just talking about with wine glasses. Not deceptive. Do not remove the dumpster that's next to somebody's site. Don't mislead people. But if you're authentic with it, it's no different than doing paid actors, and there's no reason that you need a professional photographer anymore. You can hand those off to somebody, maybe your website developer, maybe somebody who knows how to use AI really well, and they can return back to you a suite of photos that you can use in so many different places on social media and marketing and blog posts and email marketing and your website and everywhere else. So
yeah. And the cool thing is so much of this technology is free. And then on top of that, it truly is just talk to it, right? You don't have to know coding language. You don't have to speak in a certain way. You just sit down and say, hey, this is what I'm thinking. This is what I want to have. And the more you can just have a conversation with it, the better the results are going to be. And pretty much everybody can do that.
the easiest way you can do this, anybody who's listening to this or anybody who's a guest on the show, the easiest way you can do this is go to Gemini or go to ChatGPT or go to Claude, which is the best one, in my opinion, for coding. Go there and just say, I want your help coding game, website, app, to-do list, task, calculator, sliding website thing that compares properties in Texas, like whatever else, and have it say and come up with a prompt that you want to design and say, like, improve this prompt, make it better for me. Like, I don't want you to execute, I just want you to improve the prompt. And then at the end, say use Canvas or select the tool. They all have Canvas. Gemini has a Canvas tool, Claude has a Canvas tool, ChatGPT has a Canvas tool, and say code it for me. And it will code it for you, and it will preview it on the right-hand side. And you can play the game in your browser, or you can navigate the sliders on an interactive website in your browser. We had the whole team do this morning as part of our AI. Like, we have weekly AI training with the team, and we all vibe coded together for an hour and a half this morning. And they made super cool, like, to-do task lists and memory matching games. And like, half these people have no idea how to code. But the amount of eyes that will open in your brain, like, wow, if I can do that, if I can create my own video game, I can do almost anything with AI. So that's what I would do first if you were trying to get people involved. Who else has done something cool? Dave, what have you done with AI at your business?
We were doing some marketing in Costa Rica, and I sent off a reply, but I put it through ChatGPT first. And AI actually asked me if I wanted it in Spanish as well. And it was just mind blowing because I hadn't even thought of that. And I'm in marketing and sales.
Yeah, I mean, the amount of things that I do every day that I don't think about, the AI is like, that's why I put it in my AI, I put use the Socratic method. And at the end of it, it'll always ask me like 3 questions that I didn't think about before. Like, oh, I had no idea that I should ask that, right? So,
Oh, that's a great idea, Brian. I'm going to steal that.
yeah, that's really good. MacKenzie, anything fun you've done?
You know what? I'm listening to all you guys, and I'm totally slacking on the AI because, and it's crazy. I use it at work, my day job. So I have a day job as a business consultant and software developer. And I'm not even mad that AI is going to replace my job of writing code because I can get so much done so much faster. I'm like, can you write this subroutine or my terrible messy code, and I just put it in there and like, hey, can you refactor this and make it better? And it just rewrites everything and comes up with these ideas that I didn't think of, and it's magic. And now I'm realizing I'm really missing a lot of opportunities to use it to market the glamping, because even just the pictures, like, do you know, I always have my phone with me, and I'm out there like trying to catch the perfect image, and I'm like, oh no, my battery's at 3%, and I'm like, wow, I could have just had a computer get the perfect image out of the very many plain photos of like, here are the domes, and like, make it sunset, make it snowy, add people. So yeah, I got to get on that because I do rely heavily on AI for lots of things, but I'm not using it to its full
Yeah,
potential.
it's really interesting to me how some people view this, because there's for sure like this, there's 2 sides of people everywhere. That is not authentic, that's a lie, people, if you add photos, if you change it with AI, right? But to me, like, again, I've mentioned the actors already, but like you can have a professional photographer do the same thing with real guests if they're at your property. But still, anybody who comes after those guests is never going to have that exact same experience. The weather's not going to be the same. The horses are going to be in the same position. It might be happy. It might be sad. It might be muddy. It might not be. It might be cold or warm. Like, they're never going to have that exact experience. So I think as long as you're making sure that they can have that, like, they can still see the horses, they can still get in that position, they can still, walk that way or experience the glamping domes or whatever, right? As long as it's authentic, as long as they can replicate 95% of the experience in your photo and none of it's deceptive and there's no dumpster gone, like I talked about, right? I think it's fine. I obviously, that's my opinion. Lots of people will argue with me, but I don't see any problem with it whatsoever.
I've got a friend that he's a technology person, has about 200 people working for him out of Chicago. And one of the things he's doing just so that people will know the difference, and he's also really big in AI, is he's created his own AI bot, and his name is Ricardo. And so if he does an image or a video or anything like that, he signs it and says Spencer and Ricardo. And so that way people know, and that Ricardo had a part in this, or if they want to know, they'll ask. But he can always say, look, I am defining all of my AI with a signature. And so I thought that was a pretty cool idea.
All right. Elizabeth, what's something you're excited for 2026 that you're going to do new or different, or you're looking forward to accomplishing?
Yeah, like I said, we're kind of starting another project. So what that may look like, I'm curious if Kristen has any insight to like farm hospitality. I've seen a little bit on Instagram that like really elevated high-end farm hospitality is trending over in Europe for this like high scale experience, except there's like micro agriculture and goats and sheep involved and things like that. So this property that we have is like an old mill, and there is a couple acres in the back up underneath like the big escarpment. So it is very beautiful. Mm-hmm. So yeah, and we're just trying to brainstorm the vision of exactly that would look like. But yeah, what have you heard about agro-tourism and more on like a high-end scale than like more in the glam than not?
Well, I mean, I definitely think it can very much go hand in hand. I mean, especially if you put anything mini in your on your farm? Mini donkeys, mini
Right,
goats.
okay.
Like, I'm not kidding. Anything mini.
Anything
And
bougie.
people just, yeah, and people eat that up. And I mean, I eat it up. I'm a sucker for it myself. So, and people really want to see, where's the food coming from, or, and just even having, say, some moments, like some areas here and there where people can just sit and relax and sort of be with the farm or the agritourism and just sort of enjoy it and really truly, understand it, I think is great. But quite honestly, yeah, anything where people can be involved with cute farm animals, it's very successful. Yeah, and sets itself apart. It's more unique and it's fun.
Right. So yeah, looking forward to maybe developing that vision more. I think 2026 will be the year that we build it, and hopefully opening in 2027.
That sounds great.
I put this into Claude in case you're interested. I said, how do you build a high-end glamping experience? I'm about 2 hours northwest of Toronto, need 20,000-foot view, like a abstract view, right? Details. Highlights, ways to be really different and unique and immersed in it, blueprint for not the same high-end farm stay. Is that fair?
Sure.
Okay. So it says the core thesis sell transformation, not accommodation. Every glamping operation sells luxury and nature. That's table stakes. The ones that survive the coming contraction will sell identity and story, experiences guests can't replicate and can't stop talking about. 4 pillars of differentiation: working farm as a theater, not backdrop. Most farm stays treat the farm as scenery, flip it, make guests participants in the living production. Scheduled farm rhythms. Guests can join, not just pet a goat. 6 a.m. egg collection, evening animal feeding, seasonal harvests, cider pressing, and cheese making. Consequence stakes. Let them name a chicken they helped raise, send them updates. When it becomes dinner 6 months later, they understand food differently.
That's cute.
Seasonal scarcity, different experiences generally unavailable at different times. No fake, always available menu. March lambing is March lambing. The goal is guests leave with a skill or story, not just photos.
Right.
Do you want more, or are we done? Is that interesting?
No, that does make sense of, because yeah, that's what we've learned too, is like people come back because they have a story to tell when they leave. And it wasn't just like a place to sleep, right?
Accommodations of characters.
From my park in Central Florida, because that is the definition of what they do. He is a working farm primarily with longhorn cattle, and every cow has a name and a story, and they even have a coloring book that has each of the because they're family oriented, so it has each of the cows in there that the kids get the coloring book when they get there, and they have a scavenger hunt while they're there to try and find and spot these, so it's very interactive. They have same thing, like the kids get to collect the eggs, and then they do breakfast, and they cook breakfast from the eggs. Now I'll tell you, they don't have enough eggs, but the kids never know the difference. And they help to move the cattle from one pen to the other. Of course, now they're inside the back of a Range Rover being towed in a thing. So, but they're calling these cows by name, and the cows are following them. I'm telling you, you go one time and you're absolutely hooked.
Do you guys want number 2, or you?
That's similar to what we do with our feeding routine in the evening, and it's a camper's favorite part is we do feed bags for all the horses, and we ring a bell, and they all come feeding up, and the kids can put the feed bag on the horse and feed them treats after, and they get to learn all their names, and we actually have an app where they can look up what horse am I playing with, and so make it interactive like that. I love the coloring book idea. That's so smart. So yeah, and that's what everyone raves about, is that experience of getting to.
Yeah, the whole thing is immersing themselves in it. The second one here is stop thinking tent types and start thinking named experiences with personalities. Each structure has a name, a backstory, and a design philosophy. One might be a restored 1890s granary, another a modernist glass cube overlooking a meadow, a third an underground earth shelter. No two should feel interchangeable. Guests should debate about which to book next time. Designed for the arc of the day: morning light, afternoon reading spot, evening fire ritual, and night sky framing. Commission local artists to create one-of-a-kind installations at each site. The accommodation is the art.
I would agree with that to a point. where you do need to have some kind of scale, like maybe you have a few of those, a different, say, I'll call them premier units. But then you also have to make sure that if you say have more than a few units or, less than 10, you want to make sure that your cleaning crew can get through there and easily flip them and terminate. And so you need some consistencies with at least some of the units. But I very much agree with that. Like, you want to have people to come back and enjoy an experience. You're right, not a tent or, a unit, and that's it. It's an experience.
It's funny you mentioned that, because one of the things that we've been doing that's very successful is we have a muralist, and we're doing murals on the front of our sleeping barrels.
Nice.
And basically, guests don't take pictures of mattresses. They take pictures of experiences. And this way, the campground is becoming a photo gallery, and it's very Instagrammable. And the guests are coming back. Last time they slept in the the Surfer Girl barrel. Now they want to sleep in the mud room or the Dancing Bear barrel, or each one has a story. So they're immersed in the story, not just a mattress and a place to sleep.
Will you have any food service, Elizabeth?
At our new place?
Yeah. Are you thinking about it?
Yeah, like we don't have any experience in restaurants, and anything I hear about the restaurant industry sounds awful. Or just like it's not very lucrative. No, just really hard. Really hard, not very big margins. But I also know food is a huge part of the experience. Right now, we don't have any food on site at Back 40, but we do a partnership with a restaurant that's local, and they do meals for our guests. So they've come up with like really good ways to preserve, because everything is frozen that we have on site, but they've come up with really good ways to preserve these like high-end meals that are so good. And so basically it's kind of like a HelloFresh kit, but with like less steps for our guests. So it comes already made, but there's just like a one-step, either a reheating method or combining method that they have to do. So they still cook a little bit in the dome, but it's like very minimal. So obviously we already have that model for this location to be able to replicate it at the next one. But if we're going to lean into farm tourism, I'm sure a restaurant has to do with that. It's just a matter of, I find it's like we built Back 40, just like me, my husband, and his brother and sister. And I feel like it's one thing to do business with family, but now when we're branching into finding business partners with people with expertise in other areas, obviously feels a little bit more daunting.
Food is interesting to me. Like I went to Ireland probably a month and a half ago, 2 months ago now. And we went to a glamping resort called Finlock, and it was on a lake, and they had like just your like bubble domes and some cabins, but it was on a massive property, like I don't know how many acres. And but you could walk to dinner, and they had a high-end like 5-star chef that was like, it was a really nice upscale restaurant with like $150 bottles of wine and stuff like that, right? But that like they were in the middle of nowhere, so it helped them a little bit. But that's basically like they had 30, 40 accommodations. They had almost guaranteed dinner every night. And it really elevated the experience for us. There was a lot more to do there, but that was
I guess we need to have higher unit numbers to be able to fuel a restaurant.
Yeah.
Well, and you also have to look at really F&B. Really, it sometimes can even lose a little bit of money, but if you don't have any, like say services, say in a 5 to 10 minute drive, it's really more about consider it another amenity, right? It's going to drive people to want to stay there and come back, because they're not wanting or to maybe cook or do anything like that, but it's just another service. And so, we kind of see this time and time again. So many developers are like, okay, well, what kind of net profit can I really see from F&B? And quite honestly, it's minimal. But what it can do is it can raise your rates and it can raise your occupancy. And so that's somewhat what offsets it.
Right. So I guess it's figuring out what your business model is with that partnership, though, because obviously, if they're not going to make any profit, your food and beverage partner, like they're obviously going to want to share in your accommodation profit.
Well, definitely.
This is
Yeah,
what AI
thinking
says.
your
This is where
partnership.
farm stay becomes unassailable competitive advantage is the food. Get radical transparency. Guests see the animal, the field, and the process. Dinner isn't farm to table. It's that lamb you helped move to the pasture this morning. That would
That's
be
pretty
dicey,
good.
but chef residencies
That's quick.
rotate in notable chefs who design menus around what's available that week. Participatory dining, not cooking classes, overdone. Think guests forage with a guide and chef incorporates it into dinner. They contributed to the meal. And preserved scarcity. Some things can only exist here. Heritage breed pork you can't buy. Cheese aged in your root cellar, a specific apple variety. The wealthy don't want nice dinner. They want unreplicable provenance.
Very true. I would agree with that. And it's just kind of a matter of too, like, is there a restaurant, say, in the area where possibly they can help you out, and it's kind of like a win-win. You know, maybe they and it's maybe they make enough margin on what they're providing you, and you just sort of break even potentially.
I'm still listening. I'm just going to turn off my camera to feed my baby, but I'm still here.
What do you think, McKenzie?
I was just thinking about this because that is one of the biggest challenges that we have is like there's no food near here and we don't provide it. So guests sometimes ask ahead of time, oh, you know, what do you recommend for food? And it's like, well, bring a cooler full of grillable meats, and we've got, you know, barbecue stations and fire pits and whatnot. But that's pretty much. There's one pizza restaurant right down the street, and we actually do collaborate with them quite a bit, and they help us host fundraisers and do bigger scale stuff like that. But we're kind of in the middle of nowhere, and I'm trying to think of good ways to elevate that experience. In the past, we've worked with a company that does like the take and bake meals that are like higher end. So we've done that in the past, but it's not like a very seamless experience. So trying to figure out the best option, because I think that is one of the barriers to having people book is like, well, okay, but if we come there for a weekend, you know, bringing all the food that we need in and all of the cooking stuff, we provide some basic pots and pans and grilling tools and things like that. But it's a challenge that we have to deal with.
Well, I think you know, and we know the answer now, right? Like it's AI, but it's iterating with AI like we just did. AI is not always going to be right. It's not going to be perfect. It's not always going to have the best answer, but it's going to spark a discussion just like we did, where Kristen will add to it, McKenzie will add to it, Elizabeth will add to it, Sandy will add to it, Dave will add to it. And then we'll come to a like, oh, this is perfect for me. Now I've gone back and forth with it. I've refined it. That's the beauty of it. And you said you already know it for your work, right? So there's the answer to your problem will come out of it if you iterate with it enough.
Yeah.
All right, let's do our last kind of new segment. Sandy, you haven't been a part of this yet. For the last 15-ish minutes, we typically do now a kind of roundtable where we'll say like, all right, each person can ask one other person a question. So Sandy, if we pick you first, you can ask anybody here, like the guests, Kristen, McKenzie, Elizabeth, or David, a question that you would like to hear them answered. Once, like if you pick David, Sandy, then nobody else can ask David a question. Then David asks somebody else a question. We'll do process of elimination all the way down. So.
I want to ask Kristen a question.
All right.
What were the top 2 things that you saw in the research that you just did that just kind of blew your mind and everybody should know?
Oh, great. Well, okay. I actually had pulled up our report, and this is I'm just going to talk about our RV report. We do have a separate glamping report. But, you know, some of the big things, okay, we're seeing, and this is our sample size, which again doesn't include everything, but you know it's a large enough sample size that we can get a really good indicator of what's going on. So right now, we're seeing about 10% of the sites or units are going to be glamping, is what we're seeing right now at RV resorts or parks across the country, and we are seeing that starting to shift more. So as the new ones get built, we are seeing glamping become more important because it's becoming an alternative. Not everybody has, you know, an RV, and it just makes it a much more seamless process to get, say, the groups together or other people. And we're seeing some of the big developers focus on this more. So that's one piece of data we're seeing. And I just wanted to see, and then there's a substantial, say, average rate difference between concrete pads and loose gravel. That's nothing new, but that's over 10%, about 15% that we're seeing. And we're also seeing how having hot tubs or saunas, specifically at units, and having that component can really boost your rates compared to, other developments or projects out there too. So that's kind of what I'm seeing overall. And there's more to it, but
Your turn, Kristen. Ask anybody a question.
okay. Well, let's see. I would love to hear a little bit more about if David, are you still there? Okay, MacKenzie. I would love to hear a little bit more about how your guests stay involved with the horses. I know you mentioned the feeding. Is there any other ideas that maybe you had in mind to use the horses to like bring in more people?
Yes, so we have a lot of different experiences that we offer with the horses. We offer wild horse hiking, which is where we hike the trails inside their habitat. And so it's really a one-of-a-kind experience because our herd is made up of horses that are ranged from totally wild and you can't touch them to like very friendly beginner lesson ponies. And they're all Mustangs. And so it's always a fun surprise when like our wildest one, Hank, comes up to the group slowly and someone reaches out a hand and he sniffs it. And that happens once in a while. And it's such a magical experience. So we have the hiking with them and we also have a wild horse safari. So we like this idea because it's great for accessibility too. So if someone can't really hike through the trails, we have Land Rover, like your typical safari with the open back. And we can have people pile in the back and do the same thing, but from the safety of a vehicle, which is also great if you're afraid of horses because they can't really climb in there with you. So it's great because you can reach right out and pet them. So yeah, we have a lot of different experiences that we offer and letting people learn how to train the Mustangs. So our biggest feature every year is our 1-week intensive Mustang gentling retreat, which we're planning for this year. And that's for people who want the experience of taming a wild Mustang that no one has ever touched. And so we pick up a load of Mustangs and bring them back and we put these people up in our domes. And then it's so we start out with yoga and breakfast. We have an on-site yoga studio, which is a clear geodome in the forest. And then we go and work with the horses and do some training demonstrations and do some like arts and crafts and stuff. So that is a really cool immersive experience that you really can't get many places of like, oh, I have no horse experience, but I'm going to tame a wild Mustang.
I want to do that.
I know.
Yeah.
How much does that cost?
Amazing.
How much does it cost? Seriously.
I think it's they're about $3,000 for like the full package.
Sandy, will you buy me one? I don't have enough money.
Yeah, I'm going to send it to you for Christmas.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Okay.
That would be a great TikTok experience to do some filming on and get that out there. I could see that going viral in a second.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. All right, MacKenzie, your turn. Anybody but Kristen, you can ask a question too.
Okay. Let's see. David, I have so many questions for you, but most of them are, how can I make one of your beautiful saunas affordable to me? Because I would love to have something like that on the property. So I'm trying to think of how do I put that into a question that helps our audience as well of like, how about price points? Do you have like fancier versions or more basic versions, or are they all basically the same shell and same price point?
No, we have two different diameters, 6 foot and 7 foot. and we start off in lengths at 8 feet and go up to 16. The price points in Canadian dollars, the small one is 6 foot diameter by 8 foot with a heater is 8,500 Canadian.
That's not bad.
That's about 6,500 US or 7,000 US. And then it goes up to 20,000 from there, depending if you want 2-tier seating, if you want the bench in the bubble. A lot of women on a nice warm winter day, they just go out and use it as a she shed. They just lay down in the bubble and read a book. And we also have backrests. You pull the tabs out and they convert into a sleeping insert. So you can put people up overnight, or unexpected company shows up, or you like to do hot yoga or just lay down while you sauna.
Sounds
There you go.
amazing.
Is that as expensive as you thought it was going to be, MacKenzie?
Well, you know, it's hard running a business and running a nonprofit Mustang sanctuary, because whenever we get funds in, it's so hard to
Goes right out
not
the door to the horses.
put
Yeah.
them immediately to all the Mustangs. So it's like a balance I need to strike, because the glamping is what supports the Mustang. So if I invest in the glamping and have more of a secure revenue, it's going to feed the Mustangs. But it's like, this week I need a load of hay. So that's where all the money's going.
Well, MacKenzie, you can raise your rates if you get a sauna on site, so that should offset it, because that's what our data shows.
Mm. Yeah, it
There you
sounds
go.
wonderful.
I'll work a good deal with you.
Yeah.
All right, David, you can ask anybody but Kristen or MacKenzie a question.
Oh,
You got Elizabeth or Sandy. Maybe Elizabeth. I don't know if Elizabeth can talk or not.
no, if I have no questions, if anybody is interested in any information or whatever, just email me or.
Well, we'll do that, but ask a question that you want to know the answer to from Elizabeth or Sandy. Anything you want to ask them.
Where's the basement in a 3-story building? I don't have any questions.
All right. All right, Elizabeth, do you have a question for anybody, or for Sandy, or for Sandy that you can think of?
I'm trying to think about RV life. I can't say it's my expertise, but do you see any trends happening with like the younger generation trying to get like trendy RVs and doing the Airstream thing? Or do you find RV resorts are still mainly your retired demographic or families?
Oh no,
Can't
we're
hear you,
seeing a
Sandy.
lot of,
Oh,
and
there
I
you
see it on both the glamping side as well as the RVing side, because I do work a lot with the Glamping Association here in the U.S. So I do see both, because you know the campgrounds are doing some glamping inside of the campgrounds. But one of the things we're really following and watching right now is the onboarding paths to RVing to begin with, and why the manufacturer should be interested in that. And so, for instance, you might think of glamping as being in competition to a campground, because campgrounds take RVs and glamping units do not. However, that's not necessarily true, because we consider somebody going and staying in a glamping unit as a gateway drug to the outdoors. And so they may stay at a completely just glamping location one time. They may stay at a glamping location inside a park the next time. And then they may see that RV that's across the way and go, oh, that's a great idea. And one of the biggest things that we've seen happen over the last really 30 years in the RV industry is the loss of gateway drugs, because it used to be every campground had tent camping and almost everybody could afford to tent camp. So it was the entry level for somebody to get into an outdoor experience. And so we've lost a little bit of that. And so if statistically, if you look in a lot of areas geographically, not like the industry as a whole, we have more people exiting an outdoor hospitality stay than we do coming in, because of the price points. So we've got to create some of these, more affordable ways of bringing the Gen Z and some of the Gen Ys in to outdoor hospitality.
I don't think it's just price point. I think that's part of it.
Oh, that is one piece, Brian. You're right.
Scott Barr and I are going to do some research on this in early January. We've done a whole deep dive white paper into the psychology of Gen Z for both glamping and RVs and outdoor hospitality in general. It's really interesting and eye-opening.
Yeah.
It's not the same stuff you hear everybody talk about. Like, we all want to stay connected and we all want to have Wi-Fi. That has nothing to do with it at all.
Right.
So, all right.
What does it have to do with?
What does it have to do? It's the way they were raised. It's their mindset. So like you're teaching me, you're testing my memory again, which we all know is a bad idea. We've established that. But it's mostly how they were raised. They were raised as disconnected, solo, social media people. Like they were raised on social media. They don't get together with their friends as much. They don't have connected experiences. Their parents didn't take them camping. They haven't had the entrance into the outdoor hospitality market like Sandy was talking about. And so they're very nervous. So like if you've ever heard of Earl from Black Folks Camp 2, his new company I think is broader and all encompassing, but one of his main things was that Black folk have never been introduced on the camping lifestyle and how to go camping, and so they're scared of the woods because of the history of Black people and also because they've never been experienced to it. But this is a lot of the same parallels with Gen Z. Is they don't like to be embarrassed. They like to be confident. They like to know everything. And so they're nervous to go try camping because they don't know how to set up a tent and they don't want to be embarrassed and they don't want to fail. And there's a lot of really interesting stuff that our research has uncovered that we'll present in January. So it was quite fascinating to read some of it and how to appeal to Gen Z, because it's not at all what you've heard in the narrative from anyone else that I've seen. So does that help? Hopefully. I don't know. It's way better when you're actually not testing an old man's memory. All right. Final thoughts. We're going to wrap up here. Kristen, any final thoughts? And then where can they find out more about Sage?
Final thoughts is, yes, I think moving forward, connection is really the foundation to camping and outdoor hospitality. I think in the future too, Brian. And we have a very, very all-encompassing website, sageoutdooradvisory.com.
Awesome. Thanks for being here, Kristen. MacKenzie?
All right. Final thoughts. I guess just check out our website. It's wildridect.org, and you can see what we have available in terms of our glamping domes and our experiences with the horses. And yeah, that's we'd love to, come on down. And we love playing host and showing our herd to everyone and giving them a really great experience.
I guess I should ask this too. What are you going to do for Christmas, MacKenzie? Well, since it's our last show before the holidays, what's your plans for Christmas if you want to share?
I have no plans right now, so we'll see.
All right, Kristen, how about you? Any plans for Christmas? Are you excited?
I'm super excited. We're going to hit the ski hill up here, do some of that fun stuff, play in the snow.
Very cool. All right, Sandy, final thoughts, Christmas plans, and where can they find out more about your work?
We have planes flying over right now. I apologize. So I'm down in the area of Pensacola where those special flying guys, they come over. But anyway, I am just looking forward to 2026. I think it's going to be a very pivotal year for both outdoor hospitality and the RV industry. And I feel more positive going into 2026 than I have any of the years post-COVID.
What's your prediction for the percentage up or down of the RV industry, of RV parks in 2026?
Well, I think that if RV parks find the right voices to listen to, they have a significant opportunity to increase their occupancy through some of the creative things that are coming through. It's the challenge is going to be getting them to listen to the right voices. And there's also going to be a couple of regulatory things that are coming out that we're watching, but I'll speak to that at another time.
All right, guess a percentage. I'm going to date you and record you.
Well, I would like to see all of my parks reach an annual occupancy of 75 to 80% again next year, which is nowhere near where we're going to land for this year.
So you think up 10% next year as a whole? Okay. Yes. All right. Elizabeth, final thoughts, and where can they find out more about Back 40 Glamping and Christmas plans if you want to share?
Yeah, we're actually shutting down this Christmas. I feel like a huge part of our success has to do with our staff loving their jobs. So we wanted to be able to give everyone a break over those 3 days. So we are closing, which I think is great. And my family, I have a bunch of young kids. We like to go to the resort when it's closed so that we can use the hot tubs. So we'll be doing that.
Awesome. We're gonna
And
find out more
yeah,
about-
follow along on TikTok and Instagram for a lot of winter content. It'll be coming in pretty heavy and it looks quite magical. So you can find us there.
Awesome. Thanks for being here. Last but not least, Mr. David Byers.
Yes, we're going to be not traveling this year. We usually go to Costa Rica for Christmas and New Year's, but I'm going to just keep the open sign on. We just came back from the British Columbia Campground and Lodges Association Ideas Show, where we sold 15 of our sleeping barrels.
Nice.
So we're going to be doing a lot of work over the holidays. If anybody's interested in our saunas, go to www.oneofakindcw.com. If they're interested in a sleeping barrel, it's www.canadiansleepingbarrels.com. And if they're interested in replacing a round tent, a softwall yurt, go to www.cedaryurts.com.
Awesome. Thanks for being here, Dave. I appreciate it. All right, that wraps up another episode of MC Fireside Chats for us. If you guys aren't sick and tired of hearing my voice, I will be on Outwired Live with Scott Barr and Ari Smith in about 53 and a half minutes from now. For our 2-hour kind of episode, we're going to wrap up the year, talk about all the things AI and automation like we usually do. And if you want something fun, all of you here or watching the show, to do over the holidays, you can follow me on LinkedIn. I put out a post today. We created the first AI-generated Christmas album for outdoor hospitality owners. And it is on Spotify and Apple Music and all the places you can find music right now. There are 11 tracks like All I Want for Christmas is a 5-star review, Grandma Got Run Over by a Golf Cart, and all kinds of other fun stuff just for the campground crowd. So if you want to check it out, please do. Otherwise, we'll see you next year. I almost said next week. Another episode of MC Fireside Chats. Thanks for a great 2025. And best of success to all of you next year.
Thank you.
Take care, guys.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Merry
Merry
Christmas.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas.